Welcome back to Lit versus Genre. This is Steve.
And Jeff.
And it is time for some Watchers and Hunters.
It is indeed.
And some dancers. Some dancers.
Love the dancing.
The dancing was really, I think, simultaneously the most carefree part and the most shocking part of this chapter, in my opinion.
Awesome. I already love the way this is starting. Tell me more.
I was shocked. Okay, well, so we go and listen to some more story time here of Random Tom story time. I don't know what register this is. This is not common. This is not high. What's the middle one?
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to ask about that one. Because what's the word he uses? He says like forsooth or something, and I'm like, oh wait, well he does say but hark, right?
But hark,
but hark. So yeah, it does make me think it's the middle one, which is what is it? It's common, high, and I feel like there's another one.
Yeah, there was three, but I can't remember now.
It feels like there's the middle. He would never be doing the highest one in just a bar. So it's got to be the middle.
Right. Whipping rainbows. That's the part that I remember. That I'm gonna, my next band. It's gonna be the name. All right. I like these songs too. I mean, this song seemed like pretty standard song, but then I like this title, "Only One Bucket of Water," which you're like, oh, that's not as sad. I don't know. I guess that seems pretty sad to me.
I love that that's a merry song. Right? That's the upbeat one. Well, I think I imagine a lot of hijinks are ensuing, right?
Oh, okay. I was about to say, depending on how thirsty you are, this could be a very sad song. Indeed.
I feel like this is a bathing song and not a drinking song. Though, ironically, it is done while they are drinking. Right. That's my take.
Okay, so we get these stories, and then somebody's like, let's party, y'all. Oh, yeah. And at first I thought, I was ready to ship Rand again with a whole new girl here. Nameless girl with the dark hair and braids that made him think of home. Gave him a shy smile. Oh, yeah, and then a wink. That was not shy at all. This girl, seriously, immediately comes on to him, and he's like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna go now dance awkwardly with all the women in this crew who currently hate me.
Right. It's brilliant.
And this was I don't know which one was more shocking. I like how they kind of pile on top of each other, but I was like, Nynaeve's dancing? What? That doesn't make any sense. And then I'm like, what? Moiraine is dancing? What? Yeah. These ladies do not just strike me as the dancing type, but I guess everybody's the dancing type. If the dance is going, you just gotta do it. You gotta join in.
Mm-hmm. If there's a jig happening, you don't really have to.
All right. Oh, and so then we also get this obvious bad guy moment in here of the guy with the scar that crosses his whole face, and he keeps staring him down. But that's never completely explained, who that guy is or what he's doing.
Well, that gives some, but we don't know is that the end of it or something?
Right. So is this a dark friend? Is this a Children of the Light friend? Is he truly just grumpy that he has this big scar across his face? Who knows?
Maybe
we don't know.
Can't smile. As Rand postulates. I also do think I said something wrong there. I think they were doing line dancing, and then later when Rand leaves, there's a bit of a jig, and then they come back to line dancing. So to be clear.
Okay. Yeah. Good thing we clarified that. Oof.
I know, right? I know. I like to be careful. Well, I like that part of it. because Rand, as he's leaving, mentions that there is a jig, and I'm like, oh wow, so it's like a different type of dancing. That's cool. So I like that.
Oh, yeah.
And continuing onward, tell me more thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, they stared at one another soberly and danced apart without a word. Um, just more of this saga that I don't even care about with Egg anymore because there's like other women
We got a winking
winking
girl.
coquettishly at Rand. We got Min, who's super. I mean, this dude has got like more options than I ever have, and
he's got the guy with the scar. Maybe who knows?
Everybody's interested in our boy Rand. So I really can't even care about these two now. I just want this to come to an end at this point.
Now, even though you feel that way, do you think it's appropriate that we are getting these scenes of the seeming slow death of whatever this was? Or are you wishing that they weren't even happening?
No, I just wish they weren't even happening. This whole dancing thing just was... I just found it bizarre. I found it odd. I don't really know why we have this progression of awkward dances. It almost kind of felt like I don't know, like in a goofball comedy, like a Naked Gun movie or something. He just like goes out of the arms of one, character who would be awkward to dance with to the next one, and it just progresses and gets like the worse and worse person that he'd want to dance with. It just kind of felt like a... But then at the end, I was like, I don't know what this really progressed about the characters or what I learned from this. It just seemed to be, I don't know, like a goofy thing that happened.
See, I love Naked Gun, so I'm totally okay with it. I think you've explained why. I think what we're seeing here, more seriously, is that this is the reason I think the book is as long as it is, right? Like we don't accidentally make a book this long. We make a book this long when we're gonna spend some time dancing. When we're gonna just sort of live in various places and be there. You know what I mean? And you're right, because I was just listening to, like, I've got masterclass, and I was listening to like David Balducci, like with mysteries, right? And he's talking about, like, each, when you're writing for TV or a movie, like each scene needs to be conveying multiple things because it costs money to shoot, right? I literally was thinking when I was reading this, I was like, are we going to get this scene in the TV show? And I was like, I think we will, because what it's going to set up, but I bet it's going to be heavily truncated because of what you're saying. I do think, though, it creates a lightness for a moment, right? And later we get these parts with Matt saying, like, we were in a city, there were walls, I thought we were safe, I thought things were normal, right? This is like the moment we didn't get in Terran Ferry. Like, remember when we went to Terran Ferry and they're celebrating, and I was like, oh, I wish they got to go celebrate. And you're like, I don't wish that at all. Right. And then we get here, right? And they're getting to celebrate stuff. And then, yeah, it's just kind of this moment of things are normal. And then obviously very soon after they're no longer normal. Right. I think if I was to guess, that's what Jordan's going for here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of marking time before our boy the Shade shows up, and like I also have questions about Mr. Myrddraal, man. But like, is he just like hanging out in the hotel like before that moment? Is he just like kind of wandering around going like, have you seen this boy? Have you seen this boy? I was like, why is this guy here? Why does nobody else notice that there's this dude with no eyes here?
It is a pretty wild contrast from how many people are there, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly Rand is like alone with a fade in the hallway. And I did feel a bit of that. I despite the length of this novel, I wouldn't have minded another line that, like, with the Gleeman no longer playing, people filtered out until almost no one was there.
Right, or something like that to play a little bit later, yeah.
Yeah, we do get a general sense of this, but like the last thing I remember about the people is them trying to convince him to play more, not just everyone being gone, So, and I know that the rest of them all go upstairs, but I do feel you on that like slight disconnect of it. It makes it almost humorous, or just humorous. It's like the theater's there where there were previously tons of people.
I just imagine like randomly wandering around the hotel.
I mean, that is pretty great.
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked about the Dark One blooper reel before.
Yeah.
Like about the bad people just doing these hilarious things. It would be amazing. But please.
So, okay, so my other question about him then is what I don't understand why he didn't grab Rand or take Rand. This Myrddraal gets scared off pretty darn easily. Like right here. He's like, oh, somebody's coming down the hall? Well, I'm out. And I'm like, wait, isn't like your whole purpose in life to like grab this kid? And also like it wasn't like Moiraine came down. Like what's he scared of? Why is he running off? I was like, I don't understand why you're running off. Just grab him. You got him. He's right there.
So I'm gonna say something I don't think is, but this is not the first time we're gonna see Myrddraal face off with like the kids, right? And so I totally admit I did not remember it this way. I remember that like the Myrddraal's head lit on fire because Moiraine was there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why it ran away, you know? So I was a bit surprised too. I was like, what? Why did this happen? And what surprised me a little bit is the sword part, where he's like gonna kill him, but then he stops to like just make him afraid.
Yeah, he's like just taunting. Right.
Yeah, it feels like they're taunting him, right? Which I mean, I'm down with a bad guy who wants to taunt things, but consider this like a henchman of a bad guy. Okay, I'm down for henchmen to have their own personality too, but then he does just run away, and they're supposed to be so scary. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know. It does feel a little bit like we're extending this, and we don't have a definitive reason why.
Yeah, and then they're gonna like burn it down later. I was just like, he was right there, dude. You got him. That was that was the whole point of this whole chase, was to get him, and you had him literally right in front of you.
The main thing I would want to learn is like the limits of the Myrddraal's like shadow stepping power, right? Because like shadow stepping.
Hold up.
Sorry, go ahead.
Shadow stepping power?
I was just gonna say.
Pardon me.
As you may or may not know, shadow stepping is a big fantasy sort of trope. I don't even know where it began, but it's
this is not even the Wheel of Time thing. This is just like a general fantasy thing.
This is a general fantasy thing. The idea that people can teleport between shadows. It's basically just like a limited teleportation. You can only do it where there's shadows. For me, I do think that Wheel of Time is the first place I've read it. But it shows up in other books too, like Jay Kristoff's relatively recent Nevernight series. It's in video games as like a spell category, especially if you go down like the shadow spell path, like that type of stuff. It's a very common and useful tool for assassins, right? Like it's great because you attack at night, you go through shadows, you murder someone, you teleport away. Teleportation is great for assassins. So yeah, it's sort of just like a thing. So for me, it was like I wanted to know. Well, right here, you've actually got the line highlighted.
Right.
The shadow all reached out and embraced it, and then it was gone. Boom. So it's like moving into shadow and then vanishing. Right.
Well, see, this is another thing where like I don't know how literal to take a fantasy novel, right? Because I was kind of reading this metaphorically, like the hallway is shadowy. Like Batman, he can basically just sneak off and is gone. I didn't read this as like literally he went into a shadow and teleported away.
Yeah, and I look at this. You've got you're so good with your highlights. So you literally, it shows exactly these moments. I love having these conversations. So sorry, I want to talk about this.
Well, this one I just put because I thought it was funny that like he's literally called a fade, right, and he's fading.
Exactly. I thought that might be why it's there, but yeah, it's the same sort of idea in that I can see from your perspective you don't know exactly what that means. Fading would just mean that it's further away, right?
Yeah.
And humorous that it's fading from distance and it's called a fade, right? But yeah, it's sort of the same kind of idea. It
well,
is
also,
more
he can't be
specific.
disappearing because he's saying no time to pursue it.
Yeah, so the idea is that it's definitely hard to pursue because of this ability.
Oh.
And I don't know why they would probably bother. I mean, I guess to cut it down so other people couldn't find out where they are if the Myrddraal was going to go report or whatever. But then that more sort of supports your theory that the Myrddraal is just going around asking people
Yeah, it's just
as opposed to already knowing where they are. So then there's no one for the Myrddraal to go report to. I don't know. It's confusing. Basically, I was just going to say that we'll learn later. It's said more specifically about this kind of shadow step ability. I don't think it's specifically called shadow step in this book, but that's more of a name given in like video games and whatnot. But I would want to know if the Fade can take Rand with him through the shadows. If so, definitely, yeah. Why didn't the Myrddraal take Rand? So basically, I feel you. It does seem a little. It's super abrupt that there's a Fade there, and then it's just gone. And it's like and it. Yeah, I can't really support it. I think much more than I have, and I get why you got questions about it.
Okay, well, I'm going with it. I feel like you should have just grabbed him. I don't know what he's thinking. But
this is the stupid Myrddraal of the bunch.
Yeah, right. So and Moiraine brings up here, okay, like how were we found? That's a good question, Moiraine. I don't really know. Like, why are there Myrddraal like in every hotel in the whole city right now? Like, it just seems interesting. Maybe it has to do with the dreams or something that nobody's telling Moiraine about because they're complete idiots.
Even though she asked. Even though she asked about dreams. Yeah, no, I think we're maybe meant to postulate that it's the dreams or the guy with the scarred face.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, obviously, we're supposed to think that guy, but then it's wild. He doesn't come up at all, and then they leave. And then the other thing I was thinking that I didn't think about until like kind of later after the chapter was over was that in the morning they were going to meet up with Pat and Fane, right? Was that going to happen?
Yeah, well, there was definitely going to be a meeting at some point. Right. I actually don't remember exactly when, but yeah, there was.
So then that never happens, and you wonder, like, if Pat and Fane, I don't know, has something to do with this. So, all right. So they're taken off.
I would just real quick, with stuff that kind of didn't happen, I do sort of think that the fact that the guy with the scar across his face didn't show up with the white cloaks then later quasi supports that he was more reporting to Dark Friends than to the Children of Light. Again, we don't know for sure. I'm just saying.
Fair enough. So then how do the Children of the Light know, though, that they're leaving?
It's a good question. He's double dipping. This dude is getting money from the White Cloaks. Getting money from Dark Friends. Boom.
All right. So then we have this moment where Rand's happy that Egg doesn't think it's an adventure anymore. Let's just end it with these two. Can we just be done with them? Oh, but there is another part where when he's thinking back, he's like thinking, oh, I hope Min's okay. And I'm like, yeah, it's all about Min.
Yeah, that part's really great. I should point out, and you even highlighted that much could also be the suspect, because much obviously doesn't seem very much.
Right. But I'm bumching.
Good enough.
Yeah, so there's that. But like again, why does like any of that matter unless we're coming back here at some point or something? Which it doesn't like feel like we are to me. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like I'm like, bye much. I'm never gonna see you again, presumably. I don't really care that you're scowling at me as I leave.
Who's to say who will appear again? The wheel. So we'll find out.
But so here Rand does like make some kind of amends to Egg, and there seems to be a rapprochement here between them when she grips his hand hard, and then she doesn't look as frightened. So that's nice, I guess.
Yeah. it's a little something.
All right. Keeping
Hey, just
the
because they're not
embers
shipping together,
alive.
they can still be buddies, right?
Yeah. All right. So we go to the gate. They're about to get let out of the gate, and then I highlight this because I
You did
don't
it.
think
You
we.
did it.
I what?
Oh, sorry. I thought you highlighted a part that's something that I thought was funny, but please go ahead and say
Oh, I
your
guess
part.
I didn't. I actually don't think we heard about Golden Sun. Did we hear about that earlier?
Yeah, because we talked about that one before because it was one of the symbols on a chapter.
Oh, in the
And
chapter,
you
yeah.
were, yeah, and you were like, "Is that maybe?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it's because we had learned that they do have those.
Okay, it was in the text somewhere. All right.
Yeah, it was like when they met him and Matt pulled the trick and stuff. I want to say,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
but
what were you about to? What did you think I highlighted?
what I think is hilarious is that they're wearing hoods. Like if you got this big old sunburst proclaiming who you are, why you bothering to wear a hood? So that was just
Right.
humorous to me.
To hide their faces. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it could
Creepy.
be we're faceless white cloaks, so we just do something in the name of white cloaks. But because they're kind of already on bad footing with the governor, it seems like, doing things just as faceless white cloaks isn't going to be good either. So I don't know. It just felt a little like a slightly pointless reveal to me.
Well, I also was like, I thought Rand would like. It seems like he's like, oh, I'm guessing this is Bornhold, but I was like, I feel like you would have heard his voice. And also, I mean, what other? Maybe there are tons of children of the light here, but I'm just like, of course, it's gonna be the dudes that you messed with earlier. Like,
Yeah.
why are you even remotely surprised about that?
That's what I'm saying about this kind of being I feel like this reveal is sort of forced. Yeah,
Mm,
that like we've got these hoods, which why it's not raining or whatever, and then we've got him not recognizing this dude's voice the whole time, right?
mm.
And sure, he only talked to him once, and he's been meeting a lot of people, but still, right? You think that would be consideration. So it just feels like he could have seen it was Bornhold right off the bat. And I think this chapter would have read the same, really. I like the moment that Rand's trying to like be smaller, and the dude's like, "Who's that? Who doesn't want to be seen?" Like
Right.
I enjoy that part of it, but I think the Bornhold reveal doesn't really need to be there in the way it is.
Yeah. And like they're so caught here that Man Bat is actually flying over town. Like, but somehow they didn't realize this or didn't notice
Yeah,
this.
I was a bit surprised by that as well, because I would think people would be bugging if
Actually,
there was
I'm not surprised anymore at all because like if Nynaeve could just find them instantly,
Oh,
everybody knows where they are.
you were more surprised that the Drakkar found them. Yeah, no, I hear that too. I was more saying that like when people think Trollocs are myths, like so many people don't even believe that Trollocs are real or Myrddraal are real. And then, I mean, I guess since Children of the Light hate the Dark One and fight against the Dark One, they would believe in all the abominations. So I guess in some ways it does make sense that he could say that as opposed to a Watchman or something. But then I would think the Watchman would be freaking out if they're hearing that there's a flying creature of the Dark One above. They'd be like, wait, what? So I felt like that
Right.
was just kind of off. And there wasn't the reaction from some people that I would have thought there would have been.
Wait, do you think there are people in this world that don't believe in the Trollocs?
Oh yeah, that's like talked about a lot initially,
Oh.
or book that Trollocs are made up or whatever.
Oh, was it? Oh, I felt like
Yeah,
they were like historical fact or something. Like people were like, yeah.
I mean, there's some people that definitely know that they're real because they're like on the borderlands or whatever, and obviously like Moiraine and Land know. Um, but yeah, like the Two Rivers didn't believe in Trollocs until they were invaded.
Oh, okay. Um, so, oh yeah, because he keeps saying the stories are true, and like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah, they are
exactly.
true. Okay, so now we get new superpower. This kind of
Oh
does
yeah.
feel like a comic book thing where it's like, oh, we're gonna add like a new superpower like every issue, and you'll just be like, ooh, what's the new superpower now? Oh, now it's, and I guess like yeah, like this does kind of go in. What's the elements that the women get? They get the air,
Oh, air, water, and
air, and
spirit.
air,
They're
water.
better. They're equal in
Oh,
spirit.
no, no. Oh, they're equal in spirit. Oh, I didn't realize that before when she was going through it because she mentioned, air, water, and then men are fire and earth, and then left spirit out
Right.
when she was
Right.
talking. So that was a mystery to me, but now you're telling me that men and women are equal in spirit.
My bad. So yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
Spoilers.
but I really I love that. That's what I love about his system is that it does just seem like, oh, are they on like Earth, Wind, Fire, whatever. But then he's got that the different groups are better at different sides, but yet they're still balanced because there's five, so they each get to be better at two, and then there's like a middle ground one. So,
Mm,
but yeah, she's better at air and water.
okay. So with
They can
this.
still use the other though. By the way, they're just not as strong in it. For the record.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Because yeah, I was wondering if this is an air power. Like I got fog was an air kind of air and water
Yeah,
power, I
and she
guess,
does the whirlpool,
in
right?
the
It's
whirlpool.
actually kind of cool to go back and think about the things she's done, right?
Hmm.
Like the whirlpool, and then yeah, because this does feel like a air shadow thing.
Yeah. Okay, I
Um,
can buy air for this, I guess.
yeah,
But it was another moment where where I'm like, oh, can she just grow to giant size? Is she Ant-Man? Can she just grow to giant
boom.
size? Because it's like she was taller, and you don't really get until kind of later that she's like, people can sometimes see things that deceive them.
Right.
Where like Egg is like, you were taller. Um,
Yeah,
but
I do like her getting like revealing more and more of what she can do over time, which I think is fun.
yeah, yeah.
And she does use some fire or whatever against Bornhold to like melt his sword. So there she is. She's bringing in some of those other elements too.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I didn't quite I know, I thought it was just like her staff, like almost just the impact against the staff or
Right. Yeah.
whatever was the
That
thing that
that could be
like
too,
melted it.
for
Um,
sure. It could be an Angriel.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
I was going to say one little thing is that they ride to 50 away. And so, like, I love the way that the Jordan generally does distance here. And the only reason I that is because I'm riding and I'm trying to keep track of that stuff. But like generally a pace, at least I think is like 3 feet. Now I'm pushing myself. I gotta look up. But then like she's right there, but she had to travel like 150 feet. So I love the image. And I just want to bring it up because I think it's one of those things that we kind of ignore and don't worry about it because the image of her stepping over the wall to me is so cool. And that the minute as soon as she finishes stepping over the wall, she's just her regular size.
mhm,
Like I love that image, right?
right.
But then she's like running 150 feet. So, it would probably make more sense if she was big for a little bit longer. But I think that's one of those moments where you pick what's cool as the writer. Like to
Mhm.
me, it's definitely going to stick in my head the next couple of days of like her just stepping over and as she finishes the step, she's like, boom, regular size. And to
Yeah.
me, that moment is just so neat. It's like super worth it. But you also want the people to ride away to a realistic distance. You don't want to say they rode away like 10 feet from the wall. You'd be like, that doesn't even make any sense. So like they do need to go a decent amount. So I just thought it was like an interesting little moment where maybe it doesn't quite line up realistically, but it doesn't matter because the bigger parts make more sense or just look cool as they are.
Yeah, yeah. Like it did when you reflect back on it, I was wondering like, so is she just walking normally through the gate underneath
Mhm.
of it, but this hologram or whatever it is like stepping over it, and yeah, I guess that sounds fine. Yeah, because the gates only swing shut after she stepped over the
Mhm.
wall. So I don't know, pretty. Yeah,
It's
okay, wild
two and a
power.
half 2.5 feet is how it is. 2.5 feet.
Two and a
I
half
knew, I know
two and a half feet is a pace
it's a base. Yeah,
officially.
because I knew I was like equivocating it with a yard because a yard's closer to like 3 feet, right? But
Yeah.
I knew it was like close to that. So yeah, a pace is about two and a half.
See, I would have just assumed. Oh yeah, I guess that's right. That makes sense. Like it's just a step.
Right.
Like literally, if you're pacing,
Yeah.
it's just a step. So it didn't seem
Mhm.
that far away. Though I guess 50 steps is pretty far away. Okay, so then they They ride off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, they seem like they're in pretty big trouble here because they got found all of a sudden. And if there's like a Drakkar somewhere, we're just right back to where we were. Oh, he hoped Min was all right. Yes, this is where you belong. Okay. And then Nynaeve, of course, has to like kind of get on Moraine's case. Moiraine explains to Nynaeve perfectly logically exactly the reason why no, you would not run back and get yourself killed and get everybody caught. So again, Moiraine, voice of reason, yet everybody's like, even Perrin, I was surprised here. She should have done something. Perrin, what? Moiraine is clearly right all the time, and y'all are idiots.
She just explained
it. She just explained it in a lot of detail. It was like a long paragraph where she's like, here's exactly my thinking, and here's the arguments for and against, and I'm gonna send him some money, and blah, blah, blah. And like, people are still not convinced. I'm like, what does this woman have to do? What does she have to do to earn your love? What does she have to do?
Not threaten to murder.
Yeah, I guess that.
I was going to say that this is another part where I really like that section because, you know, I like that Nynaeve, of course, wants to argue against Moiraine, and I like that Moiraine shows her thinking and is, you know, really rationalize all this stuff. It tells a lot about her character. But to me, it's a little hard because where's the Drakkar? There was a Myrddraal around. Could they be around? You know, like, why aren't you writing? Do we have time for this conversation?
Yeah, right.
So, you know, but to me, I think it's worth it because it gets across the idea of like, we don't trust you, or like at least Nynaeve is like, I don't trust you, you just did something wrong here, and her being like, no, I've done the rational thing because of the situation we're in. So I feel like that moment is needed. So again, I just think it's cool to see these choices you make as a writer where it's like, okay, is this 100% believable? Maybe not quite, but it hits these emotional beats, which I think matter more, kind of yet again. So it was just a fascinating moment for me.
I was also wondering, like, I mean, she couldn't have done something more attention-grabbing if she could have possibly thought of it, becoming a giant. Like, that is the most, hello, here I am. Like, could there have been another way to get through these white cloaks? I mean, I think she had basically done it when she, like, melted the guy's sword and he got thrown backwards from the force of the blast. Just walk out then. Just leave. And then they're like, oh, she's like, oh, it might be kind of good that they burned down the inn because that means they didn't notice me growing to giant size in front of everybody and leaving. And I'm like, really? They didn't know? They think they're still at the inn? Like, how did anybody not notice this?
Again, I think it's oh, sorry. Yeah, no, that's totally justified. You would bring that up. I think this is, again, the cool taking over the rational, right? The, like, what, as you were saying, like, what cool power can Moiraine do this time around? We've done some mist, we've done some whirlpools, giants, right? And again, like, I think he was just in love with this idea of her stepping over the wall and everything, right? And, you know, I can believe that it's late. What is it now? Like past midnight or 1 a.m. So most people are probably in their homes. But I mean, also how loud is her voice when she's like, you would stop me, right? You know, it's like, wait, is everybody hearing this? You know, so it does strain believability. This idea that this is a, secret escape. And then they're, you know, having this big old conversation about it, like relatively close to the city. So yeah, I think there's some holes that can be poked in this for sure. But it is good fun. But I hear you.
Indeed, it's an escalation for sure. Definitely an escalation. All right, so that brings us to the end of this, and now they're off again once more on the chase, I guess, and we'll see where this takes us. Jeff, how far are we from Tar Valon? Like, still, like, really far?
Oh, yeah, we're still just in Bearline. So
How many pieces is it?
Yeah. Too perfect. Too perfect. Okay, so if we look at the map, our friend the buddy the map, Berlon is still really far. Because I feel like you asked me this last time, right? Like where are they in a relationship? And it's like, we just getting started. I mean, look at the size of the rest of this book, right? So yeah, I mean, it's a journey. I was looking for that one that's right in front of chapter 13 because I thought that one might be like a little bit more specific. So, but it doesn't have Berlin in it. It's got White Bridge. See, I want to say that the map at the front, but anyway, the answer is far. We are okay. Yeah, there's
very far.
Yeah, Berlin is like above. It's to the north of Edmund's Field, and then you've got Tarvalon, basically like halfway across the map, maybe over in kind of the upper right. If you're looking at the traditional map, so that would be like the map at the front
at the beginning of the thing.
Yeah. So yeah, you take a look at this. Maybe we zoom in a little bit. But I can also figure it out.
No, I don't think I can zoom in. I do not have that power.
So yeah, Berlin is right there in like the upper, like middle left.
Yeah, right here.
There's Berlin. And then Tarvalon, if you just drag to the right and go up some, so like northeast, you'll see like a Valon right there, a little more to the right. A little more to the right. So,
all right, right here.
Yeah.
So we've gone from Eamon's Field to here. And we still got to go clear across here.
You are correct.
Oh, dang. Oh,
and that is what
dang.
Is only what, like, right? I want to say.
All right, the last thing I wanted to say about this is that this symbol is significantly scarier than any symbol we've had so far.
I am so glad you put this on screen because that we weren't going to get to talk about it today because it's so amazing. What is this, right?
We have upped the symbolism, and it is like not even one symbol. It's like a triptych going on, and it was like, I was like, oh, we're upping our symbol game right now in a big way.
I think it shows kind of those powers of symbols. It's like, you know, when you're watching a TV show, you get those little previews of the next episode, right? I feel that that's what you get with the icons and the name because now they've said the Camelin Road. Right, and if you look at that map, you'll see Camelin is like I don't want to say like halfway in between, but it's in between. No, it's actually about halfway. It's about halfway in between Berlon and Tarvalon. It swings a little bit more to the south, which is kind of cool that there's not a direct road from Berlon to Tarvalon. They literally need to go south to get to Camelin to then go up to get to Tarvalon. Right. So it's like we can tell the road they're going to be taking to get to Tarvalon, and he's kind of saying, you know, the next place potentially we might be stopping. Though, of course, you may notice at the map, White Bridge and Four Kings along that road are also just as big as Camelin. So that can be an indication of like, oh, I guess we might be stopping at White Bridge and Four Kings before we get to Camelin. And then Tarvalon is big as well. So it kind of gives you some hints as to where we're headed.
Right on. Okay. Well, next stop in the journey... we'll meet this gentleman, I suppose. Maybe.
Do you have a guess what it is? What that represent?
Well, I mean, this is like a skull, and horns, and then a fist, but his other hand is just like a poker. I mean, he just looks like Satan or something. Or he looks like kind of just like in Army of Darkness. The way that Ash's like doppelganger looks after he goes all crazy.
Darkness, so good. All right, well, we'll see. I was just curious. I want to get thoughts before we get on the road.
Okay, I guess we'll find out. Yeah, I do not have a prediction for that right now, but
all right, cool. All good.
We'll see. Okay, everybody, we'll see you next week.
See you.